Hello friends and fashion lovers, you welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video. In today's tutorial we are making this lovely maxi dress that I like to call a must-have for every lady. If you are here for the first time, you are welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss any of the future uploads. Without much talking, let's get right into the making of this lovely dress. The measurements you need for this dress is displayed on the screen. So I've already drawn my guideline, and the upper guideline will serve as a shoulder line. So here I am starting on the shoulder line and I'm marking my chest line as shoulder to chest measurement and from shoulder to waist measurement. So I'm extending this to draw a line to put my measurement. So next is the neck width and have my shoulder. Since the shoulder is not straight, I'll come down by 1 inch. This part is totally optional, but it's just for clarity much later when it comes to the off shoulder part. So now the fun begins. Put quarter of your chest measurement or quarter of your bust measurement. Now multiply this quarter of your bust measurement by 1.5 and that will be your new bust measurement. Now put quarter of your waist measurement, multiply that by 1.5. So here it is. And that will be your next waist measurement. Now connect this. On the neckline, mark 4 inches. You could do 5 inches, 6 inches, as much off shoulder that you want. But here I'm using 4 inches. Now connect to form your armhole. Don't worry, if you don't have a pattern master like me, I've got you covered. Measure the difference between your actual round bust measurements and the new one and mark it up here and go in by 3/4 of an inch and connect to form your armhole. Go in by 3/4 of an inch to form your armhole. Next is to add your seaming allowance. Then you're pretty much done. You can cut your pattern. It's as simple as that. Make sure that you are cutting this bodice on fold and it serves for both front and the back. So now to the sleeve, make sure that you subtract your off shoulder inches from your sleeve length. Now put your round bicep, half of it, since we are assuming we are drafting on fold, put half of your round biceps and multiply that by 1.5 inches. So that's the new width of your sleeve. Extend that marking down. So this is your new sleeve. To get the armhole, just place your bodice on it and voila, you have your armhole. That's just the curve. That's just my lazy way of getting armhole on off shoulder. So now know that you're cutting your sleeve on fold, same with your bodice, and you're cutting 2 times. So for this bodice, you're using this sharing thread, you're using this elastic thread, whatever you call it. So you're going to hand wind it on your bobbin, and please don't use your machine to wind it. Just hand wind it, and you'll be needing several of this for this project. So you can take your time, hand wind it, be patient. Now to be sure that the 1.5 that I used for the bodice works for your fabric, measure your fabric and multiply that by 1.5. Fix your thread, the elastic thread in the bobbin, and run it a couple of stitches. I'm doing this in case you are using a separate fabric from Ankara fabric. So just test run it. After that, take the measurements. It should give you the original measurement before the 1.5, but in case it's less or more, you can adjust your pattern accordingly. So here I have 6 yards of Ankara fabric that I'll be using for this tutorial. Yes, we are not using any zipper, but you can add an elastic only to the part that you'll be connecting the borders to the skirt. So this is my sleeve. I'm going to be cutting it on fold, same with the borders. So let me show you how I cut my pattern. So firstly, my fabric is on fold and I'm marking 1 inch. This 1 inch will serve as a sewing and hemming allowance for the top part. You can roll hem it, but I'm going to search it. So place your pattern on that 1 inch you have marked out, which is your seaming allowance, and add your other seaming allowance to your dress, or assuming you didn't add it to your pattern initially. So now I'm drawing my actual stitch line, which is my pattern itself. That's the exact part. Then I'm also tracing along with my seaming allowance. So with this, I can cut out my pattern. This is how I cut out my pattern. I've cut out my sleeve, which is 2, and I've cut out my borders 2, which is also 2 for the front and for the back, and they were cut on fold, importantly. So here on my front block, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my time and mark out my seaming allowance. So mark out your seaming allowance. After that, give half an inch. This half an inch is where you're going to be sewing on. You can use your machine foot as a guide, but in case you're a beginner, it's always good to make this line stand out. So just trace the line so that you know that you are stitching on this line. So you continue until you are done, leaving your half inch seaming allowance for joining your borders to your skirt. Now roll hem the upper part. If that is what you are looking for, make sure that you are roll hemming it like the properly, because you're going to be sewing on the right side, so you roll hem it to the wrong side like you would normally roll hem. Now on that actual line that you marked, you are going to run a stitch. Make sure you back stitch at the beginning and you sew nicely and carefully to the end. When you get to the end, you can back stitch, pull out your and cut. Make sure that you secure your thread at that point. Yes. Or you can join my style. You back stitch at the beginning and you just sew all the way to the end, and when you get to where you have your seaming allowance, you just go half inch in and just give it 2 or 3 stitches down. Rotate it with your needle still in. Here I'm using my machine foot as a guide. You can use the pre-marked line if that helps. So that's how I continue sewing till I run out of thread in my bobbin. Take your time and make sure that the closer the stitches are, the more better effect or the more elastic effect or shade effect you will get. So please take your time, making sure that the right side of your fabric is what is facing you. That means the right side is up. That is very important while you are sewing. Don't put your right side down. Make sure the right side of your fabric is up. The elastic thread will reflect at the back of your fabric. Please, it is important to note the elastic thread should be at the wrong side. That's where you have your bobbin, the down part of your machine. The right side of your fabric should be facing you. So you keep going. It takes a while But once you start and get the hang of it, it's pretty much very simple. So one of the things I like about this dress is it's maternity friendly, nursing friendly too. So for the sleeve, what I did was my 1 inch from my seaming allowance that I left out, I just marked 8 inches downward. So that's where my shirring will stop, or some people call it smoking. I think there's a difference between smoking and shirring. It's just the thread. There are both ways of gathering fabric. So at that 8 inches is where I will stop my smoking effect. So since I don't want so much chalk, I just turn it and hit it my way for it to reflect on the other side. I'm good. So now once again, I'm going to show you how to go about it. Then you start sewing, you backstitch, and you continue sewing. When you get to the end, you can backstitch and make sure that your thread is secured. Most people tie their thread in place. But as I said sincerely, I don't do all this time. It just takes time. So I just backstitch at the beginning and just sew and just keep going. As long as you ensure that your needle is down while you are rotating, you should be pretty much fine. So just keep going. So as I said, this dress is just friendly. It's a must-have in my opinion. Maternity, nursing, chic friendly, summer friendly, all seasonal friendly. After sharing, after putting it together, this is how my bodice looks. So just use a steam iron and just steam it. It makes the whole thing comes together nicely. If you don't have a steam iron, sprinkle water on your bodice or now lovely upper part of the dress and give it a nice press at this point. Now for your skirt, your waist measurement will be the waist measurement you have on your pattern. So you multiply that by 4. And that is your new waist measurement for this dress. Next is to add your seaming allowance. Remember that I drafted my pattern without seaming allowance, so I'll just go ahead and add some seaming allowance to it. So now with the seaming allowance added, that is my waist measurement, which I'll be dividing it by 3.14. So to actually put in your measurement, fold your fabric in half as you've seen me fold the paper. The length of your skirt should be your dress length minus your bodice length. Subtract your bodice length from your dress length and add seaming allowance to it. That's your skirt length. So for the radius up here is your waist measurement divided by 3.14. So that is what you use and have your radius up here. Whatever you have is your radius. So that is a small circle I'm drawing here. Now for my dress length, I've already subtracted my dress length, my bodice length from my dress length and added seaming allowance, and that is my skirt length. If I add that to my radius, that's the total length that I should be having here. Please don't forget to add seaming allowance. So that is how I got the circle part of the skirt. If you need a tutorial on how to draft and half circle or sew and half circle and all that, let me know. Okay, on my fabric, I'm marking the radius of my waist, which is my waist measurement, that's a new one, divided by 3.14, then my skirt length plus seaming allowance. So I just keep marking this to form an half circle. So I'll just cut this out nicely, and that is the down part of my dress. So now I'm going to put my bodice and my skirts. I'm going to be joining them together to form my dress. Your bodice should fit perfectly with your skirt. So all you need is just stretch your bodice a bit. You can add an elastic much later, but personally I didn't have a need for it. That's why elastic wasn't added. Now take to your sewing machine and join your bodice to your skirts. So at this point you can actually put an elastic. So this is it. My bodice joined to my skirt. The dress is coming together. Next is to put right sides together. Pin your sleeve in place so that you'll sew your sleeve to your dress. Your sleeve should fit perfectly. You don't need to ease it into the dress or anything. So now you join the side of the dress. If you like pockets, you include pockets like me, and I'll finish the neckline and the hem, the bottom of the dress. So this part you can pretty much do it yourself. So this is how it looks. I've searched the upper part that I left my seaming allowance. I've joined the dress, overlocked all the raw edges, added pockets, the bottom part, overlocked that nicely. And one more thing I did to the dress differently was add few rows of, as 4 rows of sewing to the sleeve when I was done joining the side of the dress. So this is how the dress looks. Please, if you like my video, don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and let me know which part was unclear, if at all, and I could answer your question. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.